Hey there, and welcome to another OnSign TV Expert Tips. So for this video, we're going to be talking about a question that many of my clients ask me frequently, right? Bruno, when should I use a campaign and when should I use a playlist? Okay, so that's a great question, right? So first to begin with, let me explain you something here. Every time that you want to display any content in your playlist, in your screens, you either have to have a campaign or a playlist, okay? So it can be an image, video, application, anything. To display that content on your screens, you have to first create a campaign with that content or a playlist with that content, and then publish the campaign or the playlist to the player. Keep in mind, using one model of publishing content using campaigns or playlists doesn't exclude the other one. So yes, you can have playlists published to a player, or you can have campaigns published to the same player. That is no problem at all with that. Okay. Well, let me tell you here what is the difference between the playlist and the campaign. Okay, so the main difference that I see is the possibility to divide the screen in many parts. So when we're talking about campaigns, let's go here and create a new campaign, right? The first thing that we can see that we cannot see in the playlist page, the playlist creating page, is the screen layout. So it's not possible for you to divide the screen in many parts when you're creating a playlist, okay? But when we go here and click and add a custom layout, here we are able to change the resolution on my screen to make it like Full HD, Ultra HD, or even a custom layout, right? We can also have up to 10 divisions on my screen, and keep in mind that for each one of these divisions right here, you can have a different content. So it could be having an image here, a video here, and an application here, okay? So this is something that we can only do in campaigns. However, keep in mind that you can have a campaign inside a playlist, right? So, well, possibly, yes, you can divide the screen and use a playlist the same way. But first of all, you would need to create a campaign with the layout you want, and then have that campaign inside the playlist, and then publish the playlist, okay? Right. Next thing that we can see here is the timeline. Well, when we're creating a campaign, we have a timeline for each one of the divisions of the screen, for each one of the frames, what we call it, right? And we could add multiple contents to each one of these timelines just by dragging and dropping it here, right? We could change the duration just like this. We can set up a specific duration for my campaign. We can enable an audio track for my campaign, right? And, well, have many different contents inside the same campaign using the specific layout that you want, okay? Now, let's jump into the playlist and see what is the difference between it. So I'm just going to click here in campaign. Let's leave it. I'm not going to save it. Click here in new again. And then playlist. Okay, so you can see that it's already really different, right? But don't worry, there's no problem at all with that. It's really easy to deal with it as well, okay? Well, first of all, you can see that we have the info panel up here, right? In the campaigns, when we are creating a campaign, we have the option to add a transition to my campaign. So every time the campaign starts, it's going to have a transition. It can be a fade in, it can be a slide out, slide over, slide in, right? But we don't have that option in the playlist. However, I'm going to be showing you later what is the option that we have when we're talking about transitions inside a playlist, okay? Well, first of all, we would give it a name, right? And, well, this is a good thing as well, the media duration, right? But before I talk to you about that, let me show you here how a playlist is built. Here in this left square, we have all of the contents that are uploaded to our platform, okay? So basically, we could drag any content in it. These two contents that I just dragged in here, they are applications. We can tell it by taking a look at these categories here. So it says app, and they are purple, right? We can add compositions to it as well, right? We can tell it because they are, it says here that it's a composition, right? And also about the color. We can add images to it, so we could open here my folder content and get images in to other images, and also videos, right? Remember I told you that we can also create campaigns, right? Yes, we can add campaigns to a playlist. Okay, so I'm just adding a campaign to my playlist. As you can see, it is different, right? It has a different color, it has a different size, and now it says here uncategorized. Because when I created this campaign right here, I didn't choose any category for this, right? And another thing that we can add to a playlist is another playlist. So as you can see, I am adding another playlist. It also has a different color, and it's also uncategorized. So up here, as you can see, I can add a category for my campaign, for my playlist. But in this case right here, when I created this playlist, I didn't add any category to this, right? I told you that I was going to show you how to add transitions to my playlist. And to do that, I have to go to one of my assets here. You can see that it is going to pop up this bar on the bottom here with some options. So to add a transition to my asset, I have to click here and edit configuration, right? And enter a transition, fade in, let's say, or change the duration of that content specifically to that asset, okay? And talking about that, we have the media duration. So basically, playlists and campaigns, they have campaigns, playlists, and videos, they have already a duration, right? So a video has a specific duration. A campaign has already a specific duration because we already choose it. We have already chosen it when we're creating the campaign, right? So, but images, compositions, and applications, they don't. So for that, we need a media duration that is going to be working for all of the assets here, except for campaigns, videos, and playlists, okay? Well, perfect. As you can tell, we also have some other options here. So edit restrictions, we can add a restriction to specific assets when we are creating a playlist, right? So we could add restrictions here according to during a period of time, right? We can add a restriction according to the location of that player. So that asset is going to be played only when the player is inside a specific region. We can restrict it to be played only to tags that has a specific, to players that has a specific tags, okay? Or according to custom attributes, okay? All right, and we can add many restrictions to each one of these assets, right? And restrictions to all of them as well. Here is the move item, so this is how I can move the content. Here is remove item. Edit configuration, we already saw that. Here's where you can change the transition and duration of my asset. I can pause the asset right here and add a restriction. So this is all we have here on this little part. When we do the same here with playlists, you can see that I don't have the option edit configuration because a playlist already has its own configurations. Oh, we also have the option duplicate item, right? And campaign the same because the campaign also has its own configurations, right? Perfect. Well, one detail that I think is probably the main detail of the playlist, and that's most of the times the why you're going to be choosing to use a playlist inside of a campaign, is the cycling. The cycling is right here. So what is actually the cycling? Let's say that you have multiple playlists published to a specific player, okay? and you have, let's say, 10 contents in each one of these playlists. Okay, right. But when the player starts playing back the contents from the first playlist, it is going to play the 10 contents that are inside of this playlist, the 10 assets, right? And then it's going to jump to the next one and then play all the 10 contents, and then the next playlist, and then play the next 10 assets, right? But let's say that we only want that player to play 2 contents from each playlist at once. So for each one of that playlists that we publish the content to the player, we are going to put a cycling here of 2. So what does it mean? It means that every time that my playlist starts, it is only going to play 2 of the assets of my playlist and then jump to the next thing in loop. Okay? Perfect. Okay, Bruno, but is it going to be playing back only the same 2 contents? No. Well, in this case right here, we have the number 2 on a cycling option, right? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 contents here in my playlist, right? So let's say that this playlist just started. So it's going to play the first content, the second content, right? And then jump to the end of my playlist and start whatever is next to it, right? Next time it starts the loop again, it is going to play the next 2 contents, right? So it's going to start playing the entertainment app 1, the video app 2, and then jump to the end of my playlist. And this is how the cycling works. Okay guys, so this is the main differences between the campaigns and the playlist, okay? Inside a campaign, you can change the layout of it. You can have a timeline for each one of the layouts, right? You can have multiple contents in each one of the timelines, right? And in the playlist, you have the cycling option. You have the option to add a restriction to each one of the assets that are inside of this playlist, right? Both of them you can add tags. Both of them you can have categories, right? And keep in mind that you can have playlists and campaigns inside a playlist as well. Right? This is all I had to say to you regarding playlists and campaigns. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was another expert tip from OnSign TV. I hope you liked it. See you next video. Bye bye.